The San Jose Sharks host the Chicago Blackhawks at one of the biggest games of the year when it comes to draft standings. Here's what you need to know.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, and we continue our game day previews where we spend about 8 to 10 minutes looking at tonight's game. And tonight we have a doozy. Big game. Some would argue the biggest game on the calendar tonight as the Sharks host the Chicago Blackhawks. Like, get out of here, Florida, Toronto. Nobody cares about you, or like Edmonton, New Jersey. Like, get out of here. Caps, Kings. No, it's all about Sharks, Blackhawks, as this game will go a long way in determining who has the best odds in the draft lottery later this spring. So both these teams right now, bad, of course. Chicago's been sneaky decent recently. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10, but that's including an overtime loss to Nashville. They did beat Utah in overtime. They lost to Ottawa in overtime. They beat the Kings. They beat the Ducks. They did lose to Colorado, but they made that game interesting. Of course, the Sharks right now are on a 3-game losing streak, having lost to Colorado, the Islanders, and Nashville. So let's look at how these two teams match up right now. So for the Blackhawks, they're 20, 36, and 9. The Sharks 17, 40, and 9. Goals per game, 2.72, 25th in the NHL for the Blackhawks, 3.46 goals allowed per game, 29th. The power play, 25%, 7th in the NHL. The PK, 81.2, 11th in the NHL. So interesting there. For the Sharks, 2.61, 31st in the NHL when it comes to goals for, 3.70 dead last for goals allowed. Power play at 19.8%, 22nd. The PK at 73.7, 28th, and it continues to leak oil at this point. Donato leads the Blackhawks in goals with 23, Teravainen in assist with 35, and Connor Bedard with 52 points. For the Sharks, Toffoli leads with goals of 24, Eklund in assists with 34, and Celebrini leads the team in points with 48. Looking at the Blackhawks, Sharks, how they kind of match up. Both teams, right, like the offense struggles. The power play, though, for the Blackhawks, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here. Just something to kind of keep an eye on here. Sharks actually do better at 5-on-5 goals against compared to the Blackhawks, but again, like we're splitting hairs at this point between the two of them. For the Blackhawks, they are 31st in the NHL when it comes to points, with only the Sharks worse, 8th in their division. The power play and PK both good, and they are like shooting well with their finishing. Like they get opportunities. They have been kind of putting them away. So I think for this game, right, the big number one thing is how important this game is for the tank standings. Right now, the Sharks have a 6-point lead. So the Sharks have 43 points in 66 games. The Blackhawks have 49 points in 65 games. So if the Blackhawks are to win this game in regulation, that would be 8 points difference with like 15 games to go for the Sharks. 16 games to go. 15 games to go. While not insurmountable, that almost seals the deal, you would think, right? Because one, the Sharks have a tougher strength of schedule down the stretch here. The Sharks have the per Tankathon. They have the 7th toughest strength of schedule because they still play games against the Caps. They play games against the Leafs. They play games against the Hurricanes. They have 3 games against the Oilers. Brutal. Chicago's 22nd. So like they don't have like they have some softer games here compared to the Sharks. So an 8-point lead, and the Chicago Blackhawks have a game in hand, like almost seals the deal. Like we can start kind of really digging into like points left here if Chicago wins this. So that's grand scope things. What else to watch for? Of course, you have Michael Celebrini versus Connor Bedard for the very first time. Right, Celebrini, the 2024 first overall pick. Connor Bedard, the 2023 first overall pick. And for one reason or another, these two players are probably just going to be linked forever, right, as first overall picks in back-to-back years and how they perform. And they're going to be compared, and there's going to be plenty. We have made the case with our good friend Jack from Locked On Blackhawks on who would you rather have, right, between these two players. And I think for Chicago, like both these teams are deep into their rebuild, and I think both are going to be trying to take winning steps this offseason, and there's actually probably going to be a lot of competition between these teams to try to sign good players. Both teams have like a lot of cap space, et cetera, et cetera. So it is going to be a fair assessment, but I think it's going to be fun to see both these guys on the ice at the same time and see what happens when both of them play against each other. So I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait to watch Bedard, Celebrini on the ice and see who's the best once and for all, or at least in one game. So for this game, though, I do think for the Sharks, they need to be better about taking dumb penalties, right? They took 5 against the Preds, and that was the difference in that game. The Preds had they had 2 power play goals, and they won 3-2, while the Sharks couldn't get their power play going in that game. As weird as it said, like the Blackhawks power play is better, and the Preds penalty kill is pretty good too. So like you can't keep giving Connor Bedard and this Ryan Donato, as weird as it says, you can't keep giving these guys offensive chances. So you have to be smart about not taking penalties and not just giving these guys, because they will make you pay. And these guys have been playing much better as of late. So especially with Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight, like he was never going to get a shot with Bobrovsky. Looks like he's been playing very well since getting traded to Chicago, and I think he relishes the opportunity to kind of take control and be the number 1 guy right now. So I think the Blackhawks win. I think Spencer Knight's been playing really well. I think the offense, they struggle to score, but I think the power play is going to be the difference, and I think Spencer Knight's going to be the difference for Chicago. So I do think it's going to be a fun game. Give me a 4-3 Blackhawks win. But I think Celebrini best Bedard. I think give me 3 Celebrini points. I think he's due. I think he's gonna give me 2 goals and assists from Macklin Celebrini. I think he goes off tonight, but the Blackhawks win this game 4-3. So that's going to be it for me. We'll break down this game on your next episode of Locked On Sharks, wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. Until tonight, bye, friends.